Good morning. Today's Monday, the 30th day of Nisan. It's Rosh Chodesh. It's the first day of Rosh Chodesh year. And that means the last day of Nisan. Once again, a reminder, if you did not make the bracha on the trees, today is the last day to take a chance to make the bracha on the trees. And we continue in chapter 43 in Tanya. We learned yesterday about the two levels of Yirat Hashem, the fear of Hashem, the lower level of fear and the higher level of fear, because in order to serve God properly, one needs to have both Ahavat Hashem, love for Hashem, and Yirat Hashem. Those are the two wings that make a person make the mitzvahs that we do, to go up to the higher places. When you do a mitzvah with love, with fear, it lifts up the mitzvahs and the Torah studies and the prayers. And yesterday we explained about the two levels of the fear. The lower level of the fear is compared to a fear of a king, that you're fearful of what he represents, of what the power that he has. It makes a difference. This is a king of a small country, of a king of a big country, obviously. And the higher level of fear is what the deeper level of fear, the awe of the essence. And the example to it is when a person has awe of a tzaddik, a person of a righteous man, a holy person. The holiness of the person is something that it's not because, like a king, that the king becomes king because we make him king. The tzaddik is in essence a person of a higher level. So taking this and using this as an example to the fear of Hashem, you have the fear. The lower level of fear is when you meditate about what Hashem, what this world shows about the greatness of God. And the deeper level of fear is the fear of God himself, which is above everything. Today we continue. The Alter Rebbe says that just like in fear, there is two levels of fear, we have also in Ahava, in the love of Hashem, there is also the two levels of love. There is the deeper level of love. He starts with a higher level of love. It's called Ahava Rabbah, the great love. And that is the love that is like when a person achieved something. It's not that he's yearning to get something, but he's achieved the pleasure, the delight in Hashem himself. And that's something that we cannot reach. It's not something that you work on. It's something which is achieved. Once a person achieves the highest level of fear, he can get as a gift from above this higher level of love. And then there is the lower level of love, loving God by understanding how everything, the greatness of Hashem, how the whole world is nullified to Hashem. That itself creates the love to Hashem. So let's look inside in the Tanya, and the Alter Rebbe explains these two levels of love. Says the Alter Rebbe. Okay. Now in love too, there are two levels of love, Ahava Rabbah and Ahavas Olam. Ahava Rabbah, the great level of love, and Ahavas Olam, the love of the world. Ahava Rabbah hi Ahava b'tanugim. Ahava Rabbah is the love of delight and ecstasy. Vehi shal'eves ha'olam eileho. And this is like a fire flame that rises of itself. It doesn't need to create this fire. So this is something that comes from itself. Uba milemayla b'bchinas matana lemishehu shalem beyira kanoida. And this comes as a gift from above to the one who is complete in fear of Hashem. As it says, it is known, Al Maimar Abisenu Zechanu Levracha, what our sages say, there is a saying, Darkei shel ish lechazer achar isha. There is the way of man to search for the woman. That's the way of the world, that a man searches for the woman. She'ahava, so in a deeper understanding of this statement, so he says, She'ahava nikras ish vezocha k'meshukasuv zocha chazdei. He says, a man, the male, and his love is called man. Love is connected with man. Where do we see it? In the verse, it's indicated in the verse, it says, K'meshukasuv zocha chazdei. As it says, it is written, he remembers his loving kindness. Now, this word, Zachar, remembering the kindness, loving kindness, the word Zachar, remembering, can be read also as Zachar, which means male. So that we see an indication that the love is indicated in male. Ve'isha yiras Hashem. And there's a verse that says, Yish Isha Yiras Hashem. A woman symbolizes fear of God, kanoida, as it is known. Now, Ubli Akdima Sayira, Ifsha Lagia Le'ava Rava. Now, this, what we said, the statement, when the men search for the woman, that in the deeper sense, what that means is the man, the love. If man is love and the woman is fear, is the man searches for the love, searches for the fear, meaning that this love that we are talking about, that great love of love in the light of Hashem, the love in the light of God, which is a gift from above, feeling that is something that you already achieved, there's something that is nothing else in this world, only loving Hashem. This searches for the woman. What is the woman? The fear of God. That concept of fear of God that is completely reached the level of being nullified to God. This is where the love that is given as a gift from above finds place to rest on. So the man searches for women is the love of God, searches the place of the fear of God to dwell there. And this is why, in order to get this highest level of love, you need to have that perfect state of fear of God. And that's what Alter Rebbe continues. So, blik di masayira, without the prerequisite of this fear of Hashem, you cannot reach that great level of love. Because this level of love comes from the world of Atzilus. Atzilus is the highest world, as we explained many times. There's 4 spiritual worlds: Atzilus, Bria, Yetzirah, Asiya. Atzilus is the world of emanation, where and there is no other entity but God. Any part of Atzilus is felt completely nullified to Hashem. As it says, Deleis tamon kitzutz upirut chas v'sholem, wherein there is no sundering nor separateness, God forbid. There's no cutting, there's no separation from Hashem. That is, this love comes from Atzilus, that is one with Hashem. And therefore, where can it be? In a place, in a person that prepared himself with this level of nullifying to Hashem. So this is the first level of love, that is the great level, the higher level of love. And then he explains what is the second level, ahavas olam. What is the level of love of Hashem, which is called ahavas olam, the love of the world? And he says, Yabba me'atvuna v'das bigdulas Hashem ein soif baruch hu. This comes from the understanding and knowledge of the greatness of Hashem, blessed be He, Amemala kol almin v'soivev kol almin, who fills the world, which means he animates the world with a vitality that is limited and tailored to the capacity of each creature. And Soivev kol almin, meaning he encompasses the world, meaning that he animates the world with a vitality that transcends this world, not being limited by the world and created being it animates. And so this is the meditation about the greatness of Hashem. And one meditates about Hashem Ein Sof, which is Memalek Olam, and he fills the world, and it encompasses the world, transcends the world. And before whom everything is accounted as nothing at all. Ukebitul dibur echad b'nefesh hamaskeles ba'oido b'machshavta oy b'chemdes alev kanis kalayim. Comparing it to the nullification of one spoken word, compare the one spoken word to the soul when it's in his thoughts or in the heart's desires mentioned above. This was explained in the previous chapters in short what that means. Talking about how the world is nothing compared to Hashem, he used the metaphor of a spoken word. You take a word, the significance of a word compared to the ability of speaking is obviously very small. Now, when you take this spoken word and compare it to the source, the roots of the ability of speaking, which is the thoughts leads to the speaking. So a spoken word compared to the thoughts is even less of significance. And if you go further in the emotions that lead to the thought, that lead to the spoken word, so this is less and less significance each word has compared to its source, because it's infinite, and the infinity has different levels. So the same thing, using this contemplation about the greatness of Hashem, how this world, everything in this world is so nullified to Hashem, to God. Asher alidei yizboinen azus says the Alter Rebbe mimele dispashet midas ha'ava shebanefesh milevushel. As a result of such contemplation, the attribute of love, which is the soul, will, as a matter of course, divest itself of its garments, which it had previously worn. What does it mean? What is he talking about? The attribute of love has garments. What is the garment? Where love vests itself. If a child loves candies and his love is in candy, you grow, you start loving other things, you start loving gifts. You grow further, you start loving music. You grow further, you start loving understanding intellect, deep thoughts, deep lectures. So the love has its garments. And the higher the love goes, the more you remove the garments. You remove the more lower types of love. And you use this love to get to a higher level of loving Hashem himself. So this is what Alter Rebbe is talking about. The contemplation of this greatness of Hashem. This contemplation will cause the person to divest itself from its garments, the love. The Hainu, and the Alter Rebbe specifies, it will not clothe itself in anything of pleasure or enjoyment, gashmi or ruchni, whether physical or spiritual. It's not going to have physical love and not even spiritual love. To love him. What does it mean? What's wrong with spiritual love? Because in spiritual love also, there is something that I want. I love Hashem. I want the greatness of Hashem because it's good for me. But there is a deeper level where I don't want nothing. I just want Hashem himself. Not to want anything whatsoever in this world other than God alone, the source of the vitality of all the enjoyment. Because they all are nullified in reality and are counted as nothing at all compared with Hashem. and there is no comparison whatsoever between them. Just like there is no comparison of a zero, a nothingness, complete nothingness, compared to everlasting life. In using the comparison, let's say you compare $1 to millions of dollars. Obviously, the dollar doesn't have much significance, but it's still a comparison. You take a millions of dollars, you take millions of single dollars, make let's say $10 million. It makes up of 10 million single dollars. But let's say if you have, theoretically speaking, you have a ability of printing endless money. Seems like it's working good these days in the government. You're printing endless money. So we take $1 compared to infinity of dollars is certainly a much less of a significance. That dollar compared to the infinity is certainly much less of the significance. Now, if you take it further, but if you take a zero, no dollars, is there any value compared to the millions of dollars or the infinity? Obviously, it's a much less of a different way of less significance. It's completely not significant. So the same thing here, the Alter Rebbe says, how old the entire world is literally like zero compared to eternal life. As it says, as it is written, whom have I in heaven? And there is nothing upon earth that I desire with you. My flesh and my heart yearns for you. Rock on my heart. Says this, that creates the love when you contemplate that. The Alter Rebbe ends here in today's shir and says, what about a person? We said that the person, we have to take off the clothing of the lower level of love to lower things, and use it to love to greater things. What about a person that is by nature not a loving nature? Some people are just cold. Says the Alter Rebbe, even a person like this, when meditating, contemplating about this, as he will explain later, it will also create by him the level of love to Hashem. That's what Alter Rebbe concludes here. Also he whose sole attribute of love is not vested at all in any physical or spiritual enjoyment. Nevertheless, as the Alter Rebbe, he can also, he's able to kindle his soul as with a burning coals, and increase fire in a flame that soars heavenwards. Al yedei his boinenus and his keres leheil, by contemplating the above mentioned matters, the Moshe's Ba'ala Kamon, as will be explained later on. This is the end of today's shir. Once again, have a good Chodesh, everyone. And Bezrat Hashem, tomorrow we'll be back live, Metz Hashem. And make sure to share this and subscribe. Let's get the word out. All the best and good Chodesh.